Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes, and I am live with Scott Moon, Richard Fox, and Jonathan Brazee. I just want to point out that Scott just went on the fastest coffee run of the entire show.
I did.
Ran out before I started the intro and was back before the intro was over.
That's because I made the coffee and forgot to bring it down. But the fun thing is that when I run like that, my dog goes ape shit and is running around the house barking and everything. What's going on? Alert, alert. Anyway, I'm good now.
Jonathan and Richard, welcome back to the show. It's an honor to have you guys at the same time now.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
It's always a good show when either one of you are on the show, and now combined, I feel like it's what is that all that like their forces come like Captain Planet, but like not with the eco-friendly thing. Like we're like ripping things down and burning the place down with you guys here.
We're like the Wonder Twin powers, you know.
Yes, that's right.
Wonder Twin powers unite, form of a best-selling novel. I hope.
Perfect. You guys, we're going to talk about Hell's Horizon here pretty soon. The buzz around the audiobook and even the cover. I think the buzz around the audiobook has gotten a lot more buzz than the cover, but good God, the cover is fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to check it out. It's one of the coolest covers I've seen, and it really kind of highlights what you guys are doing with the novel, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Welcome, everybody in the live show. Kayleen, I think for the first time ever, is the first comment. She's early to the show.
No, it's not the first time ever. But give her the golf. No,
well, it's the first time this Monday. Anyway,
she had to be first back when she was like literally our only fan and like the only person showing up.
That's right. Had to be first. Back in 2016 when no one watched the show except for Kayleen, and she's like, "I'm first."
Before YouTube was a thing.
Yeah. William Tyler Davis is here. Jeffrey is here. Fiona Wolf is here. Welcome. Corey Gillum. Hello. Good morning. Good Monday. And Lauren Moore is in the chat. Hello and welcome. There are more that are in there, but I can't see everybody. Nobody's typing. If you're here, let us know.
Everybody type.
Yeah. If you're just now catching us on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and then hit that little bell. If you hit that bell, you get a little ding every time we go live, and you'll never miss a show, and you don't ever want to miss a show.
You feel a lot better about yourself when the bell goes off.
That's right. Mondays aren't Mondays unless you've started your Monday with Keystroke Medium. Another thing that I started my Monday with today is a brand new thing. I started my Monday with Writer's Block, a brand new blend of Keystroke Coffee. If you didn't know, we're starting our own coffee company. And we are selling 6 blends right now of coffee. Let's see, I've checked one. How many bags?
What would those blends be called, Josh?
Well, hold on. I've got to see how many blends. I've done 3 blends so far. I just started my second pot because I'm so excited about this coffee today. I may be twitching halfway through the episode. Earlier this morning at about 4 a.m., I got the Roast of Doom running, which is a French roast, and it's very
my favorite
good
so far.
Right now, I'm inhaling Writer's Block.
Okay, that's the best one so far.
So far, the other day I tried Keystroke Medium Blend, which is very good.
That's the best for sure. Definitely the best.
The next best is Word Fuel, and then we have Light On Story and Alaskan King. All those are available. Our website just is not 100% up and running yet. As soon as that is, that everybody will be able to enjoy Keystroke Coffee.
That should pretty much fix 2020. Once that coffee is rolling, things will be made better.
I am firmly convinced
we'll all come together.
Everybody has purchased their own bag of Keystroke Coffee. All of this will be a thing of the past.
Yep, it's true. Science.
And Corey Gillum says Caffeine of Valor. That's true. That is an up and coming, I think, a special roast we should do of the Roast of Valor, Caffeine of Valor. We will do it. Let's see. Other than that, this week has been fun. I got audio versions of my audiobook, which I thought was really cool. Done some more work on Tranquility. And that's about it, guys. I have not done a lot this week at all. Richard and Jonathan, I don't know if you're aware, sometimes we like to start off the show talking about what we've been up to in our writing lives and if we've read any cool books or seen any cool movies. I'm going to put Scott on the hot seat next, but then you guys can go and you guys can stare at the camera. Confusing or regale us with a tale of last week's something.
Regaling. Regaling of regaling.
Regaling. Scott, you go.
Okay, so I'm just pounding away at the words. Obviously, Victory Day's done. It's up, finalized version, ready for pre-order, and I'm working on One for All, the third book of my Aethon trilogy. I'm doing, and then just basically just writing a lot. I watched the final episode of The Boys, which
I've been hearing there's mixed reviews on season 2.
Yeah, I mean, well, everybody hates it's got a lot of hate from not being bingeable, but that's neither here nor there. I get it. But I did actually kind of start because I like to binge too, but it became kind of my Friday routine because Friday's my first day off with my new schedule, and so that I would stay up late that night, write as much as I could, and then watch that. So I watched that. And I started watching The Hunters, which I hadn't been really enthused about, and I have really mixed feelings on it. I mean, it's we can talk about it in another episode because it could be a long side trail. But so I actually, because I never watch TV anymore, and I'm finally deciding to do that a little bit. I'm trying to read a little bit more, watch TV, fill the tank, as it were, and just write. So good time.
So you said it wasn't bingeable, so they didn't put all the episodes out in one
No.
shot?
If you go to The Boys and you look at the reviews, they have like 9,000 reviews with like a 2-star average, and the first like 700 reviews are, that's bullshit. They didn't put the whole thing out at once. I can't believe it. That's why I have Amazon Prime, is so I can watch the whole series in one shot because I like to binge. And that's literally like, yeah, what is this? Yeah, 2015. So they didn't do that for whatever reason. I think I think
I know exactly why they didn't do that, because what was the thing that came out with Mandalorian a couple of years last year? There was
Disney Plus.
No, it was another show. Like Mandalorian came out on Disney Plus, but Mandalorian came out and it was like we're talking about now, where every week there's a different episode. And then there was another show that came out that put all its episodes out at one time.
With The Witcher.
It was The Witcher. And the Mandalorian got so much more airtime because the episodes were coming out every week that they were having more FaceTime with the Mandalorian than they were with The Witcher. And I think they saw that if they did that release like they would normally do on regular TV, you extend that FaceTime to people discussing episodes and all that stuff. I think that's why they did it.
Well, there's another reason. The other reason is because when Game of Thrones was coming out, is that people would sign up, or not Game of Thrones, excuse me, some of the shows that come out and they dump it all at once. People would sign up, binge it, and then let their membership lapse after one.
Yep. I know lots of people who did that for sure. And I understand that, because now you have to have like literally like 15 different subscriptions to watch, which to keep up. And this is the last thing I'll say, because this is not what the show's about today, but I did notice that I was going to watch Mulan, and I have the subscription for whatever. But you have to pay an extra like $40 to watch it. I'm like, I can wait 2 months to watch the movie. Well, so like I pay for a subscription, and they're going to charge me, and not just a little bit. It was like $38 or something.
Yeah, $39.
And I was like, nope. And my kids were devastated because they wanted to watch it so bad. And I was like, nope, wait until December.
That's interesting, because I saw a lot of people that were kind of upset about having to pay. I didn't realize you had to pay on top of your subscription.
Yes.
But I kind of felt like if I go to the movie theater with my family, if I go like 5 deep into a movie theater, it's going to cost me $60 anyway to watch a movie. So if I have to pay $30 to watch it, especially with everything going on in the context of 2020, it really wasn't that bad. But now you talk about having to pay on top of your subscription. That's kind of janky.
But that's the thing is, a lot of people I know really resent having to. Everything's a subscription service, literally.
True.
Is a subscription service nowadays, and it's just so frustrating to manage all of those. So
no, it's not a subscription service. It's Keystroke Medium.
No
shows you have.
Well, it is. You have to pay free monthly.
That's
and
true.
if you're late, you have to drink
a penalty.
You have to drink a penalty cup of coffee for not paying your free membership price.
That's right. Richard, what have you been up to this week, man?
Oh boy, well, it's mostly been getting ready for the release of Hell's Horizon, which comes out tomorrow, October 13th. Available at fine ebook stores everywhere, and in paperback, and in hardback, and on audio.
Wow.
On Apple Books, iTunes, and Audible.
We definitely should have had like a big marquee behind Richard when he was saying.
Yeah, it's but just getting everything, all the bells and whistles put together for that has been going on. And then I got the first book of Josh. This is germane to you. The two book Pathfinder series. Ember War Pathfinders.
Yes.
The first book called Light the Way is off to the third editor right now, and that will be out at the end of the month. And then the second book, Belesarius, will be out to the end of November.
You know, I tell you what was extremely meta about that is when Ben reached out and he said, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this. Do you care that I write a Carson story?" And I was like, well, technically Carson's Richard's character, but I guess I have lived with Carson a long time. And then I was like, man, it's meta that I was writing in Richard's universe with a character that we both created, and now somebody else is writing a story with that character doing something that happened before I wrote the character. It's just very weird.
Yeah. Ben Stevens and I have done a lot of work for both those books, and it's good getting those out, and it fills in a gap within the Ember War, and if Ben wants to continue on doing with Pathfinders, Ben can, and he's fine with that. Yeah, and then so then I get that done, and then the next project I'll be doing the third volume of the Ember War, which starts with the Ibarra Crusade, which a lot of people have been waiting for.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All hail the Ember War.
And a collaboration with David Weber is coming up here next year, right?
That will be out June. I don't have the exact date, but yeah, the book is titled Governor. It's the prequel series to In Fury Born, and that will be out in June. And where there's talks with Bane about doing a book tour, there's a lot of planning factors that have to go into that. What's happening this summer, so if people can actually gather in groups, and if we don't have to cross different nation lines to go from California to wherever, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So it's up in the air. It's not up in the air, but it's if things get better, the more likely it is.
Yeah. Very cool. What about you, Jonathan? What have you been up to?
Well, writing-wise, I've been working on a new novel, on a new series with JN Chaney. I did a lot of writing on that.
Cool.
Of course, promoting Hell's Horizon. But this last week has taken up a lot of personal stuff. Had to drive up to Denver because there's no Alfa Romeo dealer here. And if I didn't get the car given its papal blessing, the warranty would expire. Right? That took a whole day.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple fires, and not as bad as California. We got a couple fires going on here. So I decided I've got a lot of trees in my new yard, lots of trees, and some of it, there's some dead wood. So I was out climbing ladders and climbing trees, doing stuff you're not supposed to do, to cut branches. And luckily I tied some stuff on and put tension on it so that when I actually sawed through with my little $89 chainsaw, it would actually go the other way instead of coming back and hitting me.
Right.
My wife had an attack when she looked out the window and saw me up one tree doing it. So a lot of personal stuff. Oh, and the girls have been, this is their fussy week, demanding attention every second of the day.
Yeah.
They just left with my wife, so I'll have no interruptions for this entire thing today.
Nice.
A whole hour to yourself. Peace and quiet. That's
but I should be writing.
Yeah, I know.
Well, as I always say, if you can't be writing, you might as well be on Keystroke Media.
Pretty much. That is the hierarchy that's well accepted. In modern literature, that's really the only way.
That's right. Well, let's talk about. We lost Richard. He went bye-bye. Come back.
I said what I need to say. Bye.
Yeah. And
hey, Hell's Horizon. That's it.
No,
Ember War. Bye.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. One of my kids needs something. Keep going. I'm
okay.
All right.
Okay. So we're talking about Hell's Horizon, and actually, this is gonna be a good day to get your half in before Richard talks. What's really cool is the dual narrators that you guys got for the audiobook. Really big name actors, Giancarlo Esposito and Eric Dane. Man, that must have been really cool to find that out.
Well, I'm not much of a celebrity guy. I don't really, I've dealt with a lot of them actually throughout my life. don't really follow people that much, but Giancarlo is one of the few people. When I started with Breaking Bad for me, and then Better Call Saul, and then I saw him, and he was one of the people that just fascinated me, and I really liked him. And then as Podium is going through the list of who might they get for my chapters, I'm hearing this person, I'm hearing that person. I'm just saying, hey, you guys are the pros. You just do it. Wherever you get is fine with me. And then when after Richard told me they're thinking about Giancarlo Esposito, and I just, but the fanboy in me came out. And I go, right. And for the first time, I was excited, because really I didn't, we had written the book. I had done my part, so to speak. And whoever they got, they're the experts. Podium is the experts on this stuff.
Yeah,
not me.
Really good.
But I was so excited, and I've listened to the parts of it already. I'm really pumped now.
I think out of the entire Breaking Bad was a great show overall, but I think out of all the characters, I think his character, Giancarlo's character, was one of the most intriguing characters in an entire series.
Absolutely.
It got a great ending. Like, I thought the ending to his character was really
good. It was great.
Yeah.
What about you, Richard? We were talking about the reaction to the audio narration.
Yeah, I was shocked and amazed that I told Podium, hey, look, here's explain. This is a dual narration story, so you really need to have two separate, distinct voices for this. And Podium, latched onto that. They got it. I said, let's get some celebrities on this. And Podium went to their contacts within there, and they started coming back with all these different names and all these. I'm like, yeah, I recognize the person. I know who that is. Oh my gosh! And it was like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And then they said, all right, we've got Eric Dane signed. I'm like, the last ship. Oh my gosh! My wife and I watched that show, and it was like, I know who that guy is. And McSteamy. Not that I watched that show, but if you
don't have to make excuses, Richard.
But it's amazing. Every time I've ever described the audiobook to any woman ever, I just say it's McSteamy's in it. And they're like, oh, really? So and but when they said Giancarlo, I was like, whoa, he's in everything. And I'm like, I can't wait to hear the performance that they provide. And I've listened to it, and it's an amazing audiobook. I mean, I've had some really great audiobooks done by Luke Daniels and a bunch of other really top-notch narrators, and this one just blows my mind how good it is. And when you hear, Major Richter and Captain Alcazar, and they're two different people. It's not one narrator trying to separate it. It really makes the story that much better, because what we did with Hell's Horizon is that we're giving the reader or listener both sides of this conflict, and we want the reader to kind of be in the middle and kind of understand, hey, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? Hey, wait a minute, this is a little, we're doing this to make the narrator, or the reader, kind of question who their assumption of what's good and bad and who's on the right is. So
let's talk about that a little bit. It's a story written with split POVs, and you wrote one of the POVs, and then Jonathan wrote the other POV. Right. How did that? I mean, obviously it's been done. Singular authors have done that. A lot of books are written in multiple POV. What kind of gave you guys the idea to come at this story from two individual perspectives?
Two protagonists that could be also be
it was. I didn't think I could do I didn't think I could do it by myself. I didn't think I could do it so distinct, two different sides. So I said, let's get a second author who will definitely not have my voice, not have my style, but who knows exactly what they're doing. And Jonathan Brazee was the first person I thought of, because John, he's been in the Marine Corps for how long were you in the Marines, John?
I was 4 years in the Navy, but we won't talk about that. But 30 years in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, and he went to the second best service academy in the world. So, he'll say the same thing about me. So,
like Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. And so when I said, okay, here's this story, two distinct parts, let's get a second distinct author. Let me not try to fudge it. Let me do it right. So I went to John.
And I'll say this: when Richard approached me at 20 Books, and he brought up the subject, it took me probably about 3.7 seconds to say yes.
Yeah,
long. Wow. Excellent.
So let's talk about a little bit about how you guys worked together. Like Richard and I have worked together. Scott and Richard have worked together. We both kind of know what the process is when we were writing the Ember War books, Terra Nova and Terran Strike Marines. How did you guys go about the production of the story? You sit down, you brainstorm the ideas together, or did you?
There's a lot of steak and coffee involved.
Yeah, I'm sure there was. Yeah.
John used to live in Vegas, and before he made his escape, and so we would meet up at local places to eat, and it was just so I said here's the story I had in mind, and like here's the setting, the back and forth, and then we had to agree on, well, what are the tech levels, because if one side's got giant flying killer robots, the other side's got pointy sticks, the story's just not going to work. so we had to make sure the tech levels were about even, and then I said, and here's the kind of the beats I have in mind, and then here's how I want it to end. And then John came back with, well, I want to have this kind of story be, this kind of story be. John, you go ahead. Talk to you.
Well, like Richard said, we sort of had the basic storyline set up. And then over steaks, like he said, and breakfasts, we kind of knew where we were going. But then, like anything else, things go their own directions. And, what we did was, I'd write a chapter, because I have in my mind where we're going. And then Richard would write his chapter, but then he would say, well, wait a minute, you can't do that because my character is going to do this. So there was a lot of negotiations. We did a lot of negotiations. I think we both, I think it was pretty fair negotiations. I think we both came out about 50-50. Mm-hmm. There were directions I wanted to go, directions Richard wanted to go. But in order to make it flow as if one person is writing this, in other words, it is a single timeline, we obviously had to adjust. And sometimes we read something, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Remember back in chapter 2 when this character said this? We can't do that now in chapter 14 because of what happened in chapter 2. So it took a lot of massaging. I think that's what, particularly at the end, as the closer we got to the end, I think it took more massaging. So this probably took as much of my time to write, probably more than if I had written the entire book myself. But I think the end result is worth it. I really do. I think it's a great book.
I think that's oftentimes the case with collaborations, and people expect it to be exactly the opposite. But you do get a more unique product, when you're working as a team. Sometimes, doing the collaborations can be super fast, but I think that, I think it's worth it. It always has been, at least when I've worked with other people. You always learn something. So.
And there were a couple scenes that required, it's like we were writing together at the same time. I do my sentence, he does his sentence, and there are two scenes in particular. One, the very end confrontation, which that was given, and the other one, which I just referred in our shorthand, we just called it the "Love You Long Time" scene. So John and I are at this very nice breakfast place, and then we had this beat, and then John, it was like we almost had we had the idea in the back of our heads at the same time, and we both kind of brought it up at the same time. It's like, these soldiers or Marines, they're down range, and then John so when if you've seen Full Metal Jacket and you remember the Love You Long Time scene, we kind of had something similar in that, and then but like the jokes that had to go into that took a lot. There was a lot of back and forth between how.
When I first wrote it, it was pretty kind of serious and straightforward. And then Richard said, no, we need to have a little bit of levity. I was a little bit more on the inhumanity of man type thing. And Richard said, no, we really have to lighten it up. And so that became one of the chapters that was, we both really wrote it.
Yeah. I'm like, we need to have some silicone marrow blades here, and I want to have this exact joke. And it was just, So I think
one of the funny things with writing with Richard is you mentioned having a serious book, and I just know the entire time I'm writing with Richard, I know that at some point out of the blue, my messenger is going to ding, and he's going, we need this fart joke in here somewhere, or a dick joke somewhere, and I'm like, that's not even. And he's like, I don't care, dick joke.
You're really going to have the tree, the painter guy that does the trees. Happy trees.
There's
Or
a
a Chuck
little
Norris
Harry Met Sally thing there as we're sitting there eating breakfast, talking about silicon marital aids.
And thankfully, we're in Vegas, so it's not.
No, that's true.
No,
if this had been Des Moines, where I went to high school, it might have been a little different.
I mean, one time with Josh, when we were working through the Terra Nova series, I was in Whole Foods on my phone, and we're talking about killing a character, and I'm sitting there looking through the greens. I'm like, no, let's not kill him just yet. And then I stopped and looked around. I give him looks. I'm like, I'm an author. It's fine, everyone. Yeah. No,
exactly.
Well, I mean, you've both written a lot of. I mean, Jonathan, you've got 3 or 4 different series. They're all military sci-fi series. Richard, who decked out again, has 5 or 6 series. Inevitably, when you're writing a new book or a new series, some challenges kind of creep up. And what were the challenges in this book specifically that you can think of, either writing with Richard or just creating the new universe?
Well, I've got 78 books. I think I've got about 8 or 9 different series, and each one, 4 of my series are in the same universe. But each series, you've got to develop the whole world building,
right?
And you have to develop the weapon systems. And sometimes I get mixed up. When I was writing Hell's Horizon, and I pull a weapon out, but that was a weapon in an entirely different series and had different capabilities. So keep it in my mind. I had to end up having a running list of what each weapon in this series in Hell's Horizon, to make sure I'm not writing about another character. And one of my characters is Rick. The first name is Rick. I can't tell you how many times I wrote Rick for Hell's Horizon.
Yeah, right. What about you, Richard?
Challenges we're talking about, I think, was the original, because he was out when you asked the question.
Well, let me see if
he's still muted.
Oh, there we go. All right, everyone. As far as John's right, is that when you make a new universe, all of a sudden you have to have all this, bespoke details. Here's the history, here's the weapons, here's how they talk, here's how this planet is. And it takes up a lot of mental headspace. So, in making sure you're not accidentally, borrowing from something else. And then, sometimes you can kind of get away with it if you have certain laws of physics. And if David Weber, the book he did with Steve White, and I forgot the name of those, but the space combat in that and the space combat in the Honor Harrington books, pretty similar. There's a number of distinct differences, but with David Weber, he's doing realistic space battles. So that tech and the laws of physics tends to be the same. So for me, I like to use when my guys are in the field, infrared lasers back and forth doing the comms, and I like that because it's really hard to eavesdrop on IR lasers within a real human environment. So I use that in a couple other places because I think it's pretty likely that will be used in the future until you have your magical, or we're just using the Goobo comms device that no one can listen to. So, you can just put a new name on that. But I like that one kind of tech. And then, with Hell's Horizon, the way John and I, what we agreed to is that he's got, his alliance is his own fenced off area. I got my, I'm trying to remember the name of my own thing here. My hegemony is its own thing. So if John wants to go off and do something with his part of that universe, off he goes. And then if I want to do something with mine, I can do that too. And I've had a couple beta readers say, hey, we really like this universe. Could we get something more? And I said, maybe further down the line after I closed out all my other series, because I don't want to add another series to what people have to be reading right now. So,
but here I have no, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to do any spoilers. Never mind.
We almost had a
There is a question. Patricia has a question, Josh, about story Bibles.
Oh yeah. Do you guys do a central story Bible between the two of you? From Patricia.
I had my initial notes that I shared with Jonathan, and then I wrote in, here's how all my tech works, here's the background of these characters, and then we agreed to, here's the shared, story of everything that happened up to when this book began. So we had that as a reference point.
I think we could have kept it going on longer and more detailed. I know I neglected some of the stuff, and every once in a while that would come up. I think having a more detailed story Bible that got updated all the time might have been smart. But I'm bad at using things that update automatically. If we had this on a shared document, a story Bible, it probably would have been a good idea. And if I do another collaboration with someone where we're both doing this kind of thing, I think we'd like to do it. I think it'd be a good idea. But that's a good question.
One of the things that Devin Ford and I use is just Google Docs, where if he's writing a section, he'll put in the tech that he's using on that Google Doc. And then if I do something, then I'll write in the piece of tech, but then I'll also copy and paste the section of story that I described it in and put it in there. So that way we're both on the same page. And it seems to work out really well because you don't have to worry about saving and having different versions. It's just always there. Okay, well, we're halfway through the show, and I want to talk about our show sponsor, which is your book. And we talked about the cover. I want to show both covers. The cover I'm going to show now is the audiobook cover because it is just fantastic. Hold on, let me bring this up here. I just think it's so cool that they put the faces of the actors on your guys' cover. Like, that looks really cool to me. I don't know that I've ever seen an audiobook with the exception of like where they'll put like a headshot of the narrator on the audiobook. I don't think that I've seen one quite like this where it's actually incorporated into the book. I think that's really, really cool.
That's so wicked. That's cool.
Did you guys have any input in the covers at all?
We did. There was quite the iterative process coming back and forth with the covers. But I tell you, Podium came up with the dual color scheme. Yeah. And when I saw that, I'm like, why didn't I think of that? It's brilliant. So, but if you look at this cover, it hopefully gets across, hey, two distinct points of view, two distinct narrators. So I think, that in military sci-fi sort of setting. So this cover for me just hits the nail on the head.
So I flipped it already to the, there we go. What I think what's interesting is you said the color schemes on the audio version kind of signifies the two, but you kind of have the same thing here where you've got
that's because of the other one.
Yeah, we have the audio cover first.
Nice. Okay, I got you.
We started having the figures and everything and the concept, but once we saw the Podium cover, it was sort of like, hey, we kind of need to get that color scheme there too.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good, and I like the central wall, the pillar in the middle that's separating the two, and I'm really interested to read this book. I want to see the way you guys have done this, because are they fighting each other? Or are they fighting with each other? They're fighting.
Yeah, they're fighting each other.
Interesting. Let me. I need to read the
blurb.
All right, this is Hell's Horizon. I'm going to see if I can do this without messing it up. Let's try this. I can't even start.
Start.
Get it started. Hold on. Take two. Emmy nominated. Is it Giancarlo or you said
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah. Giancarlo Esposito, Breaking Bad, The Mandalorian, and Eric Dane, The Last Ship, and Grey's Anatomy play two warring commanders in this military science fiction novel by Nebula and Dragon Award finalists Richard Fox and Jonathan Brazee. Honestly, I don't know that you could get a better tagline than that. Like, just give me the money right now. I don't need to read anymore, but I will. A war with no end, a vendetta that will destroy two commanders. A war between the Alliance and the hegemony has spanned countless stars and shed untold blood on hundreds of worlds. For two commanders, Alliance Captain Alcazar.
Alcazar.
I said it right the first time. And Major Rickner of the Hegemony. Man, this is the worst ad read in the history of ad reads, and I have to blame it on the coffee because I'm sweating and I'm also like amped up now.
Oh, you're just so excited for the book.
I'm on a
So
pop.
excited.
Yes, also that. The war has spiraled into a personal feud. Both lead fierce Marines and mechanized soldiers into battle against the other on the green hell planet. Somebody say that name.
Utah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And each new fallen warrior only deepens the bitterness and hatred between the two. But as the conflict rages, the two warriors discover they have more in common than they dare admit, and their own codes of honor may be what can bring the bloodshed to an end if they don't kill each other first. Military veterans and authors Fox and Brazee bring their wartime experiences and years as officers in the United States military in this grueling head-to-head, action-driven story of doom. And I finished strong. I'm just gonna say I finished strong.
You did finish.
Man.
Well, you nailed the last word.
Yeah, well, that's really the only word that I ever master in this whole thing is doom. Ever.
That's why we put it in there.
That's right. That's why we put it in there.
Yeah, to give me a softball pitch there at the end. Also, I'm looking at your editorial reviews. You have John Henry and Bob Mayer and a whole bunch of big name people on there that have given it some nice reviews as well.
John Henry of the Lost Fleet series, right?
Yeah, Jack Campbell.
Now, he is a Naval Academy grad, so, right there.
True.
Bob Mayer went to West Point. we knocked our rings to get some of these.
Yeah. Went out, threw down the challenge coin, buy me a beer, and read my book. There
So you
sure.
mentioned that you don't know if you're going to write any more in the series. So you started out just with a one-off idea for the book.
Yeah.
It's interesting because most indies in Mil Sci-fi right now are setting out to do long-running series. What was the idea around just doing the one book?
For me, it was just one story long because of just the nature of the story that you couldn't have these two going back and forth over and over again. I just saw it was standalone. So
This is a little longer book than I normally put out. My books are normally about 70 to 80,000 words. This is significantly longer. But I think Richard just hit the nail on the head right there. This is the story, and sometimes stories are from here to here, and that's it. Now, as he said, the universe is still there, and I didn't think I was going to do it until probably we finish this book. And I'm probably going to go back into the universe.
Oh, cool. Very cool. What about you, Richard? I know you've got the Ember War, the third generation or second generation.
If I go back to the hegemony, it wouldn't be like until 2021 or 2022.
Yeah.
Because of the schedule right now. And I have too many kind of loose threads with unfinished series for my readers. So 2021, I'm going to finish Volume 3 of the Ember War. I'm going to finish the Exiled Fleet. I'm going to finish the Tier, which isn't even out yet. And then, I've also got like 3 more books to do with David Weber along the road. So it's I like giving my readers closure. So I'm going to give them all a whole bunch of closure before I start something new.
And that's the same with me. I've got 2 series to end, and I'm doing this series with Jeff Chaney. So I do have some things on, Oh, and I've got another one, another group effort of novellas that I'm doing with Chuck Gannon and Chris Kennedy, that I've got to get that done.
I just had them on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. This is the second
round of that.
Yeah, second round of that. I'm contributing to that.
Very cool. It's always fun when authors collab, and I love talking about collaborations because one of the big things we've been talking about for years is collaborations on this show. And I think the greatest thing about collaborating is learning something new about your writing style that you didn't know or didn't realize that you were doing or weren't doing in the writing on your own. What was something that you learned from each other? Richard, you can go first, and then Jonathan second. While you were writing, there's something that you didn't know about yourself before?
Did John? Did we go first? No.
No, you're first, Richard.
You're first.
So
Let's
with
see.
me,
Wow.
the cameras get weird here.
Let's vogue. Let's vogue until Richard can come up.
You know, it's when we had one scene, which I just said sniper scene, that John and I wrote, where there was a sniper action going on, and sniper is not a big part of anything I was, I had a part of when I was in the military. John, on the other hand, much more involved. So when we had this sniper back and forth scene, John gives me his scene and with my cues, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Would never have done something just like that, or just as authentic, or just as good. So I'm sitting there going, wow, that was great. So then I do my part, and I'm like, okay, how do I make this, anywhere near as good? And it was more like, okay, you know what? Just the nature of this scene, my side is going to not win this particular iteration, so it's okay if my guys screw up. So looking and seeing where another author was really strong in something they wrote, and knowing, okay, how do I react off this, and knowing I don't really have to, that was strong enough. I just had to sit back and let it kind of play out. So it was, that scene in particular, I was really impressed with.
For me, I think it would be, I tend to write pretty straightforward. This is what's happening, and I plan out everything so it would logically happen, either by time, weapons, or whatever. And reading Richard's chapters after I do my chapter, and I'd read Richard's next chapter, I realize Richard gets a lot more into the head and the emotions of what people are thinking, how they do. His characters get angry and yell at people and I'm thinking about, gee, I may have yelled at a few people in my career. And so after reading that, I was thinking more, let's make sure we have a little bit more of the emotional side. And I'm not talking about, oh my gosh, what's happening. I mean, just the normal emotional things that happen, not just in combat, but even back in the rear with the gear.
Right.
Like if you can't get your Keystroke coffee, there's probably just hell to pay back in the rear. I'm pretty sure. Just throw it out there.
I mean, I can confirm that. That was true. So one of the other questions I had when you guys were talking, and I thought about it, was in some of the collaborations that I've been a part of, specifically with Richard, and also with Nick and Jason at Galaxy's Edge. There's usually that senior junior component to the collaboration, where you have kind of the more established author, and then the author that is just kind of starting out, and typically the like in Richard's and I's collaboration, Richard had the final word, and
absolute veto power, because he
would say no, and I would say, oh, okay, fine,
no soup for you.
Yes, right. So in this situation, I mean, both of you guys are pretty equal here in how you're approaching the collaboration of the project. So how did you guys deal with? Did you have any disagreements on where the book would go, or how you were supposed to get to the final end, or how all of that would end? How did you guys deal with that?
We did have arguments on how the book would go, but I think we kind of really evened it out. I've been in both situations of collaborations where I have been the junior partner and I've been the senior partner, so to speak.
Yeah.
This didn't happen. In my opinion, I don't know, Richard, you have a different opinion. I ceded a lot of stuff to Richard having to do with dealing with podium, for example, because I'm a podium author too, but Richard has a better Richard has a better relationship with him, or a more detailed relationship. So I kind of ceded a lot of that stuff to him because he was obviously the better choice to do it. But as far as writing, I think there was no junior or senior. I think this was a true partnership.
Yeah. And it was like when I was never trying to say, Colonel Brazee, this is how we're going to write it. It was never that way. I tried to keep it as even as possible. And there was, the things that we didn't agree on, pretty minor. And so when it was like, if John said, I think like one of the big things we changed was, how some of the locals spoke, and he wanted to change. I'm like, okay, fine. There was a decent change to make. So, and there wasn't a whole lot of, my way or the highway. And the good thing is the way we avoided a lot of trouble is that we laid out the whole story at the beginning. And this way we knew this is how it ends. This is how it begins. Let's agree on all the beats we're going to hit along the way. And then because we knew what he was going to write, I knew what I was going to write. We knew how they were going to interact before we even started. That,
right.
Nipped in the bud a lot of potential conflict there could have been. So
Sure.
I think it'd be much.
Go ahead, Scott.
I think it'd be much better for our rankings if you guys would have a huge argument right now and a big feud over, who did what, and then it'd be like lots of drama, and then it could be like Facebook tweet back and forth.
Yeah,
we can make sure we include Josh shooting coffee out of his nose.
Yeah,
that's one of our new brands, coffee through the nose.
That one story about Universal Soldier where Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme, they had a beef like at the premiere, and it was all fake.
Yeah.
They were just for the sake of
WWE.
We did have a little bit of controversy we did a little promotional video.
It's right. It's right there. It's right there.
There we go.
There we go.
He struck me.
Several times.
Struck me.
Several times. We had to get it just right.
Yeah, actually, we did have to do the take a bunch of times, and a couple of times he hit me pretty hard, just because I reached over to touch his Dragon Award.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, you're having way too much fun with this. Take 53. Punch to the face.
I think it's probably 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, that video should be out soon. It's a great podium at this promotional video.
It's important to get it right. I mean, I admire your guys' dedication to the process.
We had to make it realistic.
I will say, if I ever have to do a promotional video with Scott, he's not hitting me at all, ever. Like
a little bit.
He would break me in half.
But choking would be okay, right?
Well, you do that every day on the show anyway. You do that without touching.
There you go.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, you were about to bring up a question, then I went down a rabbit hole.
I can't remember at all what I was going to ask.
See, that's mission accomplished. For
Probably was not that important. The book comes out tomorrow, and you both kind of talked about what you had going on in your other writing universes as the year progresses. Anything else happening in your guys' lives that's interesting right now at all?
Well, let's see. I'm going to finally get a hood over my island so I can cook.
Nice.
It's okay.
The weather's slightly different in Colorado than it is in Las Vegas.
It's actually nice here, so yes, it is different. I sit out. I'm on a hill. I'm on a hill, Cheyenne Mountain. I'm up on Cheyenne Mountain, overlooking Fort Carson, where Richard did serve, and I think you served there. Wait a minute, didn't you tell me you did?
No, not Carson.
Sorry, I misspoke. Anyway, I'm on a hill over Fort Carson, and every day I go out on my deck and just sit outside and watch the deer and the bear once and the hummingbirds fight over the thing. And it's just so nice to be able to sit outside.
It's not 115 degrees.
It's actually very pleasant. Oh, of course, here we did have 3 or 4 days where it got up to 90 and everybody was complaining about it.
Oh my God. The horror.
Yeah, it's in in Vegas now, and people are walking around in long pants and almost jackets. So, but it's just, with me, it's like I've been all of 2020 has been kind of planting seeds that are going to come up in 2021.
Yeah,
I finished this book called The Tier Arrival. It's a brand new series, brand new IP, and it's kind of an alien invasion story in reverse, where if you have a planet with aliens on it, but you have a human scientist family who's infiltrated, and they have a certain mask that lets them kind of walk around and be within this society. And as this scientist family is about to cycle back home, the corporation that sent them there decides they're going to take over the planet and get rid of all the locals. So the scientist family comes back and has to try to help this planet, who has no idea that there are aliens out there. Some deal with this invasion that's coming. And that book was 120,000 words. It's really long for me. Other people are like, it's nothing. It's a month. But no, so I got that. First book is done. It's been edited 3 times. It's with Podium. It's got a super great narrator. I can't say who it is just yet.
Secrets.
Yeah, but now it's like I'm trying to figure out so I got to get this. That book comes out in April. when do I write book 2? When do I write book 3? And how do I get the Ember War done? And it's fun times with scheduling. You know, you're good problems to have as a writer.
Right.
Too much work to do. Oh no, poor me. No, it's
busy.
Getting all the stuff out there. It's great. It's good to be busy.
For sure. Got to look for work. Always looking for work.
Well, it was great to have you guys on the show. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to come and hang out with us for sure. Everybody in the live chat, there was some, I'm trying to find where it was. I thought I missed a question, and apparently I didn't. I thought I missed a question like right at the beginning, but apparently I did not.
My only complaint about the live chat is I can't zoom it out. I'm at the point now where I can't read it without my readers on, and to do that, I have to lean in front of the camera, and it just looks really awkward.
Got it really close to my face, and I can just
So I can kind of read it a little bit. So I'm just, and there's so many shenanigans.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of shenanigans this episode. Man, I thought for sure I missed a question. Apparently, it wasn't anything that I missed now.
If you ask a question, please repeat it for Josh.
Yeah. Again, thank you guys for coming on the show. Everybody in the live chat, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. It's been a blast always talking with Richard and Jonathan. Gosh, I hope I didn't miss anybody's question. I apologize if I missed your question.
I think the question was, can they have a spelling contest here on the show? You know, like a little competition, a little friendly.
A spelling bee?
I made that up. That's from Tombstone. We used to always say that at work. Is like, how about we have a spelling contest? Anyway,
good times.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Let's see what we have next week. Hold on. Let me pull up the calendar. This is crazy, and I know no one's going to believe this, but we actually have guests scheduled out for like 2 months. Like this hasn't happened for almost a whole season.
Going old school.
That's right. And honestly, funnily enough, next week we don't have anybody scheduled. But after that, William Tyler Davis is coming on the show, and then the Parla Planini brothers are coming on November 2nd. Their new series, The Blood of Zeus, premieres on the 27th, I think, on Netflix. Then JN Chaney will be coming on the 9th, and then November 30th, Yuhanjaya Vijay Ratna will come on the show, and hopefully we'll have Nathan Fillion on the show. Hopefully. We're still waiting to hear from his people, but he's narrating Yuhanjaya's newest book, The Salvage Crew, which is coming out from Aethon Books.
That's getting a lot of buzz, too.
Yes. Aethon and Podium Publishing have been doing some crazy things. I mean, you guys got some really, really good narrators for your book. Yuta has Nathan Fillion. I'm waiting to see what other Stephen Rett says they've got a lot of new things happening in the next couple of months. So I'm
a lot of pretty excellent actors are since Hollywood shut down. I think we're seeing a kind of a flood of actors into voice acting.
Yeah,
because you can do it from your work from home for Hollywood, basically.
I think it's beginning to circulate among them that this is a way to keep working and work from home.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure you come back next week. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing and, of course, everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. See ya.